Nikicia, and welcome back to another episode of Nikicia Speaks. Today's episode is all about knowing yourself and finding your identity. So basically, it's very important to know yourself. We all go through this stage when we're growing up and going through school, trying to figure out who we really are, and we kind of assimilate ourselves into different groups and cliques based on the likes and or dislikes we have with different groups. My friends and I had multiple different kind of like mini cliques of friends, and we always hung out together, and we kind of always had like some similar likes and even some similar dislikes. And that's kind of the basis of every high school. High school is actually, for those of you who are not in high school, for those of you who are not in high school is nothing like you see in the movies. There are some similarities. There are people who do act like, the average mean girl or the jock, or, those type of people in movies, mainly probably because they watched those same movies and thought to mimic them. But you do have people who are like that, but they're not prevalent in your life. My graduating class had 1,500 people, and I probably only knew about 100 of them. So your class is going to be a huge, especially as a freshman. Freshman classes are usually a lot bigger than over the years. So by the time, I think my freshman class, we had that switched. My freshman class was 1,500 people. My senior class was about 300 to 400 people. So by the time you start going towards, the end of the school year, your whole high school life, the class kind of dwindles. People move away, stuff like that happens. So the only people that I really knew of were the people that I saw every day on a basis when I was in school. So the classes that I had every single day, the only people I knew were the people I knew in my classes, or the people that I saw before school, at lunch, and maybe after school walking to the bus. Those are the only people that I knew about. And there are a whole other hundreds of people who are in my class that I have never met, who are probably like those average jock and average mean girls. Now, I've met a couple of jocks and a couple of mean girls, and I've actually been friends with some of those jocks and mean girls who weren't a part of my inner sanctum, my friends that I hung out with every day. And when we're in high school, it's kind of a dividing ground. You try to find out, what personalities you like, what personalities you don't like, and we usually try to assimilate ourselves into, okay, this is my group, I'm going to start acting like they act. That's why it's important that we choose our friends wisely, especially at an impressionable age at like 16 or 17. Even now, even as like a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, you should choose your friends wisely, because you could, the person you hang out with the most, you start to become like them. So it's always best to choose your friends wisely. When we leave high school, we were told that, in college, that's where you really find yourself. That's kind of the theme that has been put in movies, TV shows, even, parents, friends, family, and school officials tell you, college is where you really find yourself. College is where you find out the stuff you really don't like or you don't want to do, and the stuff that you do like. Not everybody goes to college. People figure this out after they leave high school and go directly into the workforce, like I did. Fortunately for me, I moved to Chicago and I lived with multiple family members, and I found out real quick what I didn't want to do. Very quick. And having to go through the struggle of living with family members who didn't necessarily know me completely and know me really well, like my parents did when I lived with them, but to have constantly every day someone trying to force you to be something that you're not, it was a difficult journey, especially when I was also trying to figure out who I really was. I knew that what they wanted me to be like, that wasn't me. That wasn't like that wasn't who I was. I knew for a fact that that wasn't me, because it didn't feel right when I tried to put myself in those shoes that they wanted me to be. And it didn't, over the period of time that I was living here with my other family members, I had to do a lot of thinking and a lot of growing up. And I spent a lot of time by myself, listening to music, a lot of crying, and a lot of reading, and a lot of me trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? What is my life going to be like? And at 19 years old, that's a really tough conversation to have with yourself, especially if you don't have a clear set plan or goal. One of my biggest fears is always not being able to live up to the purpose that I'm supposed to be living up to, or not being able to achieve the passions that I have. And being 19, living in a strange place with strange people, and not knowing who I was really, it was a very scary time for me. And I really felt alone. And I'm really happy that I had my parents, you know, they were always there whenever I dialed for them. But it was just something that I had to do on my own, and finding myself and knowing who I really was. The important thing about knowing who you really are is that your identity is individual to you. Nobody can tell you who you are. There are people who know you well and could probably tell you some things about yourself that you didn't see, but only you know whether or not that's the truth. Because there are people in my life who have told me horrible things about me. They've told me that, you know, I'm mean, or I'm a bitch, or all these other things, and it's actually not true. Anybody who knows me very well knows that I'm blunt. I'm a blunt person. And there are times when I am bluntly honest, and it seems cold, and it seems harsh, and you know what, maybe at that moment I seemed like I was a bitch, but I wasn't. I was just being bluntly honest, you know. And people also think that I'm also too kind and too caring, and that makes me weak in their eyes, and they take advantage of that, and that's also not true. I'm not weak in the least. I'm kind and I'm caring, and I see everybody's potential and what they could do, and that doesn't make me weak for being able to see that in a person. So I know who I am, and I know my personality traits, and it has taken me a long time in order for me to get there. When you know who you are, people can't tell you things about yourself, and it hurts you. People can't say things about me because I know who I am. And I know what they're saying is not true, and I know they're saying what they're saying to hurt me. And it doesn't affect me. And the same thing goes for you. In order for you to truly know yourself, you have to take that time to dig deep. And this means going past, you know, oh, I like, my favorite color is pink, and I love long walks on the beach, and I love dancing and singing in the shower. These are cool things, cool little quirky things about you, but that's not necessarily who you are deeply on the inside. So I have like a whole list of things you can do to figure out who you really are and what your identity is on my blog, so you guys can check that out. But the wonderful thing about figuring out who you really are is that there is only one you. We can try to mimic and copy every single person that we ever meet, but at the end of the day, it's not going to do anything but bring us misery. Because, you know, at the end, you're always going to go back to being yourself. And it's not going to be comfortable, and it's going to be weird. It was really weird for me when I started on my journey trying to figure out who I was. Because I was so used to being, you know, this person in this box, that when I went over to try and figure out who I was questioning everything, and it was confusing. And I even looked at, you know, all the horrible things that people said about me. You know, I had to figure out and decipher through what they were saying. Was that true or not? You know, because sometimes we are a certain way and we just don't know it. Sometimes people see things in us that we can't see, that we're blocked from seeing, or that we just don't want to see, so we don't. And so I had to decipher through all of that stuff and all of that muck to figure out the jewels and the pieces that made me, me. And at 20 years old, 21 in a couple of months, I am now secure and safe in that I know who I am. And any person who tries to come to me now and tell me some BS about me, I know for a fact they're lying. I know for a fact that what they're saying is not true. This is not a one-day process. This is, this is not a hit it, quit it, write it down, all right, I'm done, I know who I am. No. It takes time and it takes effort to want to figure out who you are. There are people who don't figure out who they are until 10 years later because they are not comfortable in that skin yet. They're playing both sides. They are staying the way they were before and also trying to figure out who they are. And the best way to deal with that is just go through it head on. Because the harder you hit it, the faster you'll more than likely figure out who you are. And it's all about making mistakes, trying things, to figuring out what it is you really like in your core. What it is that makes you, you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Check out my blog for, the detailed list of questions and detailed list of things that you should do in order to find out who you really are and what your identity is. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more awesome, awesome posts. And I hope... That was awkward, I choked. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more awesome posts. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye!